Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Move to Mexico with America Samuels. If you are a Mexican national or a dual citizen and you're thinking about buying property in Mexico, then this episode is for you. So, before we start looking into homes or discussing financing, there is one step I highly encourage you to doing first, and that is getting your documentation in order. One of the biggest reasons that I've noticed that causes delays in real estate transactions in Mexico is the documentation, because there's a missing document or because it's outdated. If you don't know, in Mexico, they are super strict when it comes to documentation. Your signature has to be like exactly how it is in your identification. I promise you that if you start with your documentation, everything else will be a lot smoother process because you literally need this document checklist for everything, to set up utilities, to set up a bank account, for everything. And I want to dive in. I want to dive in on the documentation. And there's four main categories. You have the official documentation, then you have the civil documents, and then you have tax documents, and you need proof of address. So for official documentation, you will need your INE, your Mexican passport, and your CURP. And then for your civil documents, you'll have your birth certificate, marriage certificate, or divorce certificate if applicable. And then for your tax documents, you will be needing RFC, which is your Constancia de Situación Fiscal. CURP and RFC is like your Social Security in Mexico. Like in the US, but in Mexico. What's the difference between Mexican national or dual citizen? Let me explain to you. So if you're a Mexican national, it means you were born in Mexico. If you have dual citizenship, means you obtain dual citizenship through your parents or your grandparents. Let me dive in a little bit more on the dual citizen, because I know a lot of people don't have a full understanding of that process. So if your parents were born in Mexico or your grandparents were born in Mexico, then you can apply for dual citizenship through them. Once you obtain your citizenship, you have all the rights as if you were born in Mexico. So once you apply for the dual citizenship, you will obtain your birth certificate. And then with the birth certificate, then you can get your Mexican passport. And then I got my matrícula consular, but to this date, I have never used this matrícula consular, but it's there. Oh, and my CURP. And then I was able to apply for INE. INE is like your, it's your official identification in Mexico, or your passport as well, but they will request it for everything. But that's the order in getting it. You need your birth certificate in order to get your passport, and then from passport, then you can get your INE. And after you obtain your INE, you can apply for RFC. And the RFC is, you can obtain it at the SAT, which is, SAT would be like the IRS in the United States, but in Mexico. Oh, and super important, I've created a blog in my website about the documentation checklist. So I'll leave the link in the description of this video. So you could just click on it and it'll take you to my website. And there you could, you'll have the websites to where you can obtain these documents. For my RFC, I was able to set up the appointment online, and I had to go in person, and they did the fingerprints and all kinds of stuff. And then I was able to get my Constancia de Situación Fiscal. One of my clients, she was able to do the whole process online, and she's in the United States. I'll leave the link for more details where you could dive in deeper there. See if you could do it virtually, or if you have to go in person to Mexico. And thank you all so much for being here. I'm really happy that you're here. I hope this information finds you helpful. And my next episode, I have a special guest, which is DN Express. It stands for Dual Nationality Express. I highly, highly encourage you get in contact with them if you're thinking about obtaining your dual citizenship, because I went through the process and it was a headache. I think for me, the hardest part was trying to get an appointment. It took me like about a year to get an appointment. So, but anyways, with DN Express, we're going to be diving in on how they can best assist you, and they're probably going to save you a lot of headaches. I had to go through a little bit of a headache because my mom was born in Chihuahua, and her birth certificate in Mexico, I believe it was missing like her middle name. I can't remember. So it was a whole stressful situation. My uncles had to go to Chihuahua in the Pueblito the little town where my mama was born, and to the registro civil to get that. And back in the days, I mean, there was not technology, so everything was like in books. So it was a little bit of extra work there, and DN Express could have helped me, but I didn't know about them. I actually came across them because of multiple people who I've been in contact with have used them, and they've talked great things about them. So I've invited them to my podcast. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it from my heart. So thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you on the next episode. Goodbye.